Hi everybody, how are you? I am just going to make sure we're live, and it'll give me time to make sure. Oh, looks sweet. Looks like we are live. Let me open that up, make sure the sound is down. All right, so how are you? And hello again, second time this week. This time we're going to talk about animal spirituality, and this is very near to my heart. So I will give a couple minutes just for people to hop on. And hello, Rebecca, how are you? And when you hop on, just whether it's replay or live, let me know you're here. Tell me where you're calling from or you're watching from, and anything that you would like to add. Comments are very much welcome. And also, hit those like and love buttons because they are going to help get this out to the rest of the people on the page. It'll also kind of boost my esteem a little bit, make sure I'm doing a good job. I kind of need the boost. I'm a little nervous. I was nervous on Tuesday, because this is the cool thing. I want to be able to get the message out to you guys. So let me see. Okay, we got 2 people looking. Hello. Leave your name. Tell me where you're from. And I'm gonna wait until about 2:30. 2 minutes, 30 seconds in before I start. Give you guys some time. I got a lot of neat information for you today because the healing bond between animals and humans goes back centuries, and it's an amazing part of living on this planet. At least in my eyes, it is. So, and I do have lots of information here. So hopefully we won't keep you too long. But there's a lot of great information here. All right, so I guess I will start by introducing myself, and also kind of tell you how I'm going to run this. I have my iPad on this side so I can see comments. I also have it in front of me. That's my computer. I'm using Ecamm Live, which is a software on my computer. So I got it 2 places. But once I start with the message, I'm going to stay on message until the end, and we can have question and answers. And I will check the comments to see if there is anything that I can address for you. So who am I? Well, my name is Victoria. I am based in New York, in the States. I am, if you watched my last class on Everyday Enlightenment, I am an enlightenment teacher, but my schooling, outside of being a law of attraction coach, my schooling is in healing touch for animals, healing touch for humans. I'm a Reiki master teacher, and animals are very special to me. My whole life, I have felt like I was sent here to be an advocate for them, to be a steward. As I was a kid, I used to go out and I would spend time with toads and crayfish and snakes and all of that stuff. See, we here in the States, we don't have as many poisonous snakes as you guys do in Australia. But I used to bring them home a lot. I loved taking care of, I lived on a farm. So my sister and I, when we were little, we would go, and there was always a corn crib where they would put all of the cow corn that the doves would get caught in. So there would be these mourning doves. They get caught in these things, and they wouldn't know how to get out. And so they keep running into the wires until they would stun themselves, and they would get little bloody noses and stuff like that. My sister and I used to go to these corn cribs and rescue these. So we always had like a mourning dove on the back porch that we were trying to heal back. I remember lots of funny little things where my sister and I had 2 doves, and we were in the bathroom trying to clean them up, and they were like crazy. But this is kind of the way I've been my whole life. And as personally, I have only ever owned cats, both when I was with my parents and as a single person, and now a married person. And they're kind of my expertise. But animals are soul beings. They are separate soul beings. They are not property. They are not here for entertainment. They're not here for everything, for what I guess a lot of people in today's society look at them as. They're our friends. And they were put here for us, and we also benefit them. So I want to talk about the healing connection that we've always had. Now, way back in the caveman times, canine species, they decided that they enjoyed the companionship of humans, and there was a beneficial relationship there, both with protection and companionship, and also survival. And that has carried through society, civilized society, since its inception. We've always relied on animals for work on our farms, and it's been, there are many species that have chosen to be domesticated. We didn't just domesticate whatever animal we wanted. There were animals that chose to be domesticated. The 2 of the most important ones are cats and dogs. They both chose. Cats just out of pure convenience. Dogs out of social, they like the social interaction and the companionship they received. Horses are the same. Years ago when, the Native Americans decided that they were going to domesticate horses. Horses domesticate very quickly, for the most part, unless they've been abused or anything like that. They also realized that there was a strong connection there, and the relationship has thrived. So, I don't think you guys have Healing Touch for Animals in Australia, but just to give you an overview of what that is and what I do, it's kind of like Reiki, but Healing Touch for Animals is specific to the animal. We also work on the heart lines and the chakra lines. So there's a strong spiritual concept to it, and but it's structured. It's very structured, and there's a communication that goes between you and the animal. And this is kind of where all of my animal spirituality stems from, is this connection between animal and human. So I want to go over just an overview of what I'm going to go through. And I do have a whole bunch of things that I printed out and selections that I think are important. But there's an awful lot of information about what animals do for us. So I'm going to go over that part. And then towards the end, I'm going to flip it. And I'm going to talk about what we do for animals. There's not a lot of research done in that area. I'm not sure if it's because the pet food companies and the veterinary associations, which fund a lot of these sciences or these studies, don't want that type of research out there. I don't know. We can only speculate. So I'm going to read this one little thing, and then I'm going to give you a few things, just an overview of what we know that animals do for us. Animals have been shown to help people cope with emotional troubles like depression, and pets have improved the quality of life for people in nursing homes. Several medical reports have credited animals with other positive effects on people's lives, such as, and here's a long list for you, this is awesome, lowering blood pressure and stress for everyday people, helping people cope with the loss of a loved one and other major changes, better communication in marriages, service animals like seeing eye dogs help people with disabilities live normal lives, helping people cope with cancer, Alzheimer's, and AIDS. They also detect cancer in some cases. Higher survival rates for people with coronary heart disease. That's a big one. Better socialization of young children with peers and development of nurturing behavior. There's a lot of studies done with autistic children and therapy with animals, which has allowed them to open up. And I do have a little bit of a story for that I'm going to save for a little bit later. Giving a sense of constancy to foster children. Improving results for anxious and depressed people. Therapeutic horseback riding has helped improve balance, posture, mobility, language, and muscle coordination, helping facilitate social interactions between strangers and improving social behavior for mentally impaired people and prisoners, and more recreational activities such as dog walking. That's a pretty long list of things that animals do for us. It's amazing what they do. I personally have cats, and it is actually scientifically known that the purr of a cat can heal things like broken bones. It's because it's at the right frequency. It actually has a direct correlation with stress and blood pressure. Just that purr, the petting of a purring cat, actually the frequency of that can heal us physiologically, which is amazing to me. So there is a story. I'm not going to read the whole story. I'm just going to paraphrase. There is a wolf named Cheyenne who has actually been visited by over 20,000 people seeking healing to help and help to overcome emotional issues, physical problems. And it says Cheyenne does not bond with every person that visits her, but she is bonded with over 1,500 people who received her healing kisses. She has detected cancer in several visitors and helped numerous people overcome emotional concerns. Cheyenne tends to be partial to women and children. But there is one diabetic man who credits her with helping him get over his self-pity and once again hike the trail on which he had previously lost his toes due to frostbite. That's a wolf. Okay? That just goes to show you that it's not necessarily domesticated animals. Now, this wolf, yes, has been doing it since she was 3 months old, so she has a lot of history with humans, but she is a wolf. And no matter how much you domesticate a wolf is a wolf. So I find that very, very interesting. And you will find this type of healing can come from you got the dogs and the cats, which you know, the horses, which are a definite because there's so much equine therapy facilities nowadays. But you can also get healing from rabbits and guinea pigs and chickens and other household animals, which is very fascinating. I love this. And there's 5 specific animals that I just want to give you a little example. Now, we all know from that little thing and also from just the fact that equine assisted therapy is out there. Horses help with so many issues, and I will get to the point why I think. Horses, they help with physical, emotional, social, cognitive, and behavioral issues. It's amazing. There's actually a farm in Virginia that has medicine horses, and that's going to come down. That their sole thing, the sole job that they have is to heal people, which is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So A little bit of an overview here. We got dogs. Okay, what are the healing qualities of dogs? Well, the dog's saliva has been known to heal wounds. And the science behind that is they discovered a protein called the nerve growth factor in dog saliva, and wounds treated with NGF heal twice as fast as untreated wounds. Now that's an actual physiological thing. This has nothing to do with energy or anything. This is an actual protein found in dog saliva. So if your dog is licking a wound, it's because it's healing itself. So that's a good thing. Now here's one for all of you Aussies. I bet you didn't know this. Snakes are also a highly healing animal. They have a protein in their venom, and there's actually one specific snake called the Malayan pit viper. I'm assuming is from Malaysia. It helps to treat strokes and prevent blood clots. Now, there's a lot of studies done with the actual venom of certain snakes that do break down things like blood clots. So it may not just be the Malayan pit viper, but other ones that help with that. Obviously in small doses, because some can kill you. But here's the part that's backed by science, which I love. I love it when science backs this stuff up. While getting bitten by a venomous snake isn't ideal, using their venom to treat illnesses has been found effective. A protein called ancroid, found in the Malayan pit viper's venom can dissolve blood clots that cause stroke as long as 6 hours after stroke symptoms begin. The venom is currently being used in Europe to treat patients with deep vein blood clots and to prevent problematic clots from forming after certain surgeries and procedures. That's a snake. That's pretty cool. I think it's pretty cool, at least. And of course, cats. I mentioned the cats. Through their deep purring, cats can heal broken bones. That fascinates the heck out of me. I do know that a purring cat doesn't necessarily mean happy. When a cat is in pain, it purrs. When it is ill, it'll purr. It's healing itself. Now here's the science. Frequencies of 20 to 50 hertz are helpful in speeding the healing process of bone injuries. Feline purring vibrations, which range from 20 to 140 hertz, can help heal soft tissue injuries to ligaments, tendons, and muscles. These are the physiological things that these animals do. Number 4, bees. Bees. They are the backbone of our ecosystem. We all know this. You know, the less bees we have, the less food we have. They're essential in that aspect. Their pollen is a perfect food, containing almost all the nutrients required by the human body. And backing by science, pollen is rich in proteins, vitamins, minerals, fatty acids, and bioflavonoids, which are antiviral, antibacterial, and help in lowering cholesterol. Fresh pollens also contain at least 20 amino acids that build healthy cells. Pretty fascinating, right? And the last one I'm going to kind of point out in this little section is house pets. We know cats, dogs, obviously. Rabbits, guinea pigs. The household pets, this is the cool part. Household pets have been shown to raise immunities in babies. Did you know that? The backing by science. Babies who live with pets during the first 6 months have significantly lower chances of developing allergies and asthma. Children with pets are also less likely to come down with colds and ear infections during their first year. Just by being with cats, dogs, guinea pig, pets. Just pets in general. I find that fascinating. And it just kind of goes to kind of confirm something that I've always thought. I know there was in the 90s, I don't know if they're still doing it now, but in the 90s, there was a trend for doctors who were telling pregnant women to get rid of their pets. And of all of the people that I know who had children in the 90s, who did what the doctors told them, their kids have significant allergies. They're allergic to everything. They're allergic to, obviously, cats and dogs, and they haven't built up the antibodies against a lot of these things. They're natural immune boosters. Pets are natural immune boosters. And I've always felt that way. And when I read that, I was like, oh my goodness, that's awesome. Yay! So I thought that was really cool. I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So we're going to now, I got my little book here. I got a little outline here we're going to go over. So we're going to break down a little bit of what I just went over. And I'm going to read this one thing. And we all know, I mean, we love animals. We're attracted to them for some reason, right? Well, there's a big reason for that. So humans love animals in ways that are similar to how they love their children. We know this, right? From an evolution standpoint, this may prove puzzling to some. Why would humans dedicate resources like time, money, love, and protection to a member of another species unless they received something in return? Obviously, pet ownership does nothing to continue our species. But perhaps this relationship is made mutualistic by more subtle benefits. Let's take a few moments to look at the reasons why a person might benefit from owning, loving, and spending time with an animal. And this is from an article I found online. It's called The Healing Power of Animals. And it breaks down into emotional benefits, physical benefits, and social benefits. Like I said, there's an awful lot of information online about how animals benefit humans. There's so much research on this. Now, the first part of the healing benefits of animals that we're going to talk about is the emotional benefits. And this boils down to one word: hormones. Let me explain. Research has shown that people who interact with animals may experience increased levels of oxytocin. Do you know what oxytocin is? Oxytocin is known as the trust hormone, or the love hormone, or the bonding hormone. In fact, one study found that the simple act of making eye contact with their dogs when they got home from work increased oxytocin in a sample of women. On an emotional level, oxytocin helps mothers bond with their newborn children. That's why we have the hormone first, because it helps us connect with our children. If we didn't have oxytocin, we would have a lot of children in this world that would feel abandoned. So human couples establish a greater sense of intimacy with oxytocin as well. And this helps with intimacy, trust, and optimism. There are other things, other hormones. When we have animals that relax our stress levels and release the stress in our body, we reduce the production of cortisol. Cortisol is the stress hormone. The more stressed you are, the more cortisol you produce. And the more cortisol you produce, the more adrenaline you produce. And if you don't have something that brings the stress levels down, you may end up with adrenal fatigue, because the adrenaline is our flight, fight, or freeze hormone. So when you have an overabundance of adrenaline in your system, you're always in that flight, fight, or freeze mentality. So reducing the levels of cortisol, reduce the levels of adrenaline in your system. And animals can help with that. The other hormone that pets help with is dopamine. Dopamine, that's another happy hormone. Now, those are the emotional things. So if you have less cortisol, less adrenaline, you're not so stressed, you have more dopamine, you have more oxytocin, you are going to be generally at a level that's a bit happier than someone who does not have a pet. Just naturally. You're not doing anything except for just owning an animal. And I'm going to change that because I don't like the word owning. You are sharing your life with animals. Now, the physical benefits are connected, I think, and so is this article, connected to the hormone aspect of it. It says pet ownership, hate that word, has been linked to physical benefits such as reduced risk for heart disease, lowered stress levels, fewer doctor visits, lower cholesterol, and lower blood pressure. Again, we can refer back to hormones like chemicals like oxytocin, cortisol, and dopamine, because oxytocin has also been found to relieve pains like headaches, cramps, overall body aches, and lower levels of cortisol can account for lower stress levels and contribute to some of those heart and blood pressure related benefits. So those are your physical benefits. And then, of course, you add the whole purring thing with the hertz, the sound therapy, and you actually have physical cellular rebuild from just the purr of a cat. Now, the social, this is the cool part. And this is where the whole animal therapy came to be, because of the social aspects of sharing your life with the pet. I'm going to read. In 2013, Leslie Irvine, a sociologist at the University of Colorado, interviewed pet guardians. That's my favorite term, by the way. Experiencing homelessness in Boulder, Colorado. She found out that many of those she interviewed credited their animal with changing or saving their life. One woman stated her dog helped her quit heroin, leave an abusive relationship, and improve her HIV status. Another man said his dog had helped him combat isolation and depression by making him get out, walk, and socialize with other people. Others interviewed believed their animals had saved them from attempting suicide, protected them from danger, and kept them healthy and happy. So it kind of makes a lot of sense that pet ownership would reduce feelings of loneliness, isolation, and they fulfill our emotional needs, like the need for love, security, companionship, and comfort. And as I mentioned before, it also helps us deal with grief, coping in grief. The other thing that a lot of people have found in one of these research projects is animals give people a sense of purpose. Kind of like parents and their children. When I don't have children, but I know from my friends, when they had children, it's almost like their entire world changed. They had a sense of purpose. They had this sense of responsibility that exceeds that of, any other type of responsibility. And the same goes with with pet guardianship. I'm reading all of these things. Everybody talks about pets as property, and it drives me nuts. So that's a little bit of a breakdown on that. Now, because of all of that, there's that field that I mentioned. There's equine assisted therapy. There are pets in nursing homes. There are therapy animals that go into hospitals. may have seen on Facebook, I've seen therapy horses, little mini horses that go to hospitals. I've seen therapy donkeys. I've seen therapy dogs, therapy cats, and you can even have therapy hamsters if you want. There's an awful lot of science that backs this up. And that's what I'm going to talk about now. Let me see. Yeah, actually even fish. Fish help. I don't know if you've ever been around a fish tank and noticed how calm you feel around a fish tank. It's not the sound of the water, which I'm sure that helps, but it's the fish themselves. And I'm going to go into a little bit about that, but as far as animals as a therapy tool, this goes back over 150 years. And it could go back to Florence Nightingale, who used animals or believed that animals helped the patients in the hospital. There is a clinical psychologist named Aubrey Fine, and he says, one could even look at Florence Nightingale, recognizing that animals provided a level of social support in the institutional care of the mentally ill. And Aubrey has written several books on the human-animal bond, which I need to look at, because I didn't know that until I saw this. But that was Florence Nightingale. It took all the way into the 1970s for the first research study to be done with animals. And one of the earliest studies was published in 1980. It said that found that heart attack patients who owned pets lived longer than those who didn't. Another early study found that petting one's own dog can reduce blood pressure. Now we know that for a fact. But this was way back. They were doing this test or this study back in the late 70s. Now, more recently, they have been focusing on the hormonal thing that I had mentioned before. And they're finding a lot of data to back this up. The cool thing is the National, which one is it? The National Institute of Health, I think. Yeah, National Institutes of Health is now doing a full-blown study with being funded by the Mars Corporation. They're a big, huge pet food company, on the whole human-animal connection, which is amazing. And I love the fact that science is catching up. Thank you, Rebecca. It's just like all of these things that I knew, and we all knew, all of us pet guardians knew these things. And all of a sudden, science is starting to catch up to all this, which I find incredible. Now, I want to just do a little bit of a story about an autistic child and a horse. Now, there is a therapist. Her name is Kathy Coleman. She worked with a 9-year-old boy named Ryan. And she worked kind of one-on-one, but she had a co-therapist. And the co-therapist was a horse. It was a speckled pony named Happy. Now, Ryan wasn't a very vocal child, didn't speak much, but once he started working with Happy, he started giving Happy, little, I guess, orders. He would say, walk on, and Happy would walk on. As the session progressed, Ryan made Happy trot, weave in and out of poles, and he even rode bareback. All the while answering Coleman's questions, the therapist, and keeping up a continual back and forth chatter. Very difficult for most children with autism. And Coleman said that she used to see him in a more office-type environment, but since he started horseback riding, his speech has actually improved. And the mother kind of backed this up. Because not only did it help him following directions, but it actually gave him core life skills about getting dressed, about balance, and he was able to translate a lot of safety issues as well. And that to me that's long-lasting help. It's not just being with the animal that heals you. It's like just the interaction and relationship can help you kind of break out of whatever limitation you may have, any fear you may have, and it actually makes you more productive in your life. And we see this with this 9-year-old boy with autism. And Happy was the reason. This little speckled pony was the reason that this 9-year-old boy started to come out of his shell, which I find is amazing. He's speaking and all that stuff. I find that so incredibly amazing. Now, there's another research that was done that focused on what we all know what animals do for us, but what do we do for them? Well, there was a dog walking study, and they found out that shelter dogs that had a regular walking schedule with someone actually ended up being adopted much quicker than those that did not have that socialization and that time with that person. It actually helped them trust. I'm thinking it's the whole oxytocin connection. But when an animal trusts its human, they also shed their little prison walls and they break out of their shell, which is amazing. Now, I just want to talk about my take on a lot of this. I've had animals that have helped me. My animal, Spike, he is my booty cat. He was my, as I was healing, so was he. And we connected and we were healing each other. And it was so incredible to have that bond. Now, I've always had animals. Before I got married, I had 5, and then we got one who was pregnant. And we ended up with 12 cats. And over the last, I'm now down to 1, but since 2007, I've lost 9 of them, or actually 10 of them if you want to add the other ones. But I've lost quite a bit. But through the care of them and the relationship I had, especially in the last 3 or 4 years, I have received so much benefit from my animals. And my animals have benefited from being with me. Now, yes, I am a healing touch for animals practitioner. So I did my stuff. Spike, when I got Spike, he was 12 and a half years old, and he had stage 3 kidney failure. Through the work that I did and the relationship that we had, and I believe the relationship had a big role to play, he stayed at stage 3 for 2 years, which is unheard of. He stayed at 2 years, and I believe that is because of the relationship we had and the work that he received. His brother, Akiro, who just passed last September, he's always been my support. he was my boy, always my boy. From the time he was 3 weeks old, he was my boy. I would come home from work. He'd be the only one of the kittens that would run down the stairs to greet me. He was my boy. And we shared a relationship that went beyond pet guardian and animal companion. It was more like a soul relationship, like me and my Spike had. Now, he did that for me, but for him, he spent most of 2017 very ill. Back in March, he was in multiple organ failure, and we thought he was going to die. I started doing my work on him. I also started doing sound therapy. I also started doing my energy therapy. He was surrounded in crystals for like 3 weeks because he didn't move much. He didn't eat much. He lost quite a bit of weight. And 3 weeks later, we go to the vet to get his blood results, and it was like it was a different cat. He had come back from multiple organ failure. And I was able to, I guess, have more time with him. He wasn't ready to go, so he fought and fought, and he allowed me to support him as he healed himself, and he stayed with me up until September. And then in September he got sick again, same situation. And at that time I was able to support him as he was going through the transition process, and it ended up being this amazing symbiotic relationship. As he was transitioning, he was still supporting me going through it, and I was supporting him. It was absolutely beautiful. He wanted to die on his own terms, so he died in the house. He died with the family around him, and I was able to relieve his pain as he was going through the transition. It was an amazing experience, and it's one of those experiences that solidified the work that I do now. We can offer so much to animals. As I mentioned in the beginning when I was introducing myself, I always felt that I was a steward for animals, and I believe we all are. I believe you are as well. If you always had an animal in your life, and if you choose to have animals in your life, then you are an animal steward. You are meant to support animals as animals are meant to support you. It's this connection that we have that goes beyond pet ownership. It's a spiritual relationship. It is an energetic relationship. It's the most amazing relationship you will ever have in your entire life, when you see it for what it is. There is another study that was done by the HeartMath Institute, and this goes to those medicine horses I was talking about earlier. These medicine horses actually have a genetic difference than other horses. Their hearts are a little bit larger, and they're a little bit more sensitive and more fragile. But animals, all animals, have energy fields just like we do. But our energy field, basically, if you look at energy, if you can imagine yourself in a cocoon, and you put your arms out, and your energy cocoon is basically the diameter of your arms. Animals, on the other hand, their energy fields are 10 times greater than their body size. And I truly believe that is because of their heart center. The HeartMath Institute did a study on these horses, and it proved the magnetic field of these horses was far greater than that. And these horses it's a very structured environment when these horses are at work. But imagine yourself, okay, these animals, these soul beings who are unconditional love. That's what they are. They do not have conditions on their love. The only conditions that they may have are human-induced by abuse or mistreatment or something like that. And that's a survival technique on them. But it's not their natural state. Their natural state is to be fully open-hearted and to love unconditionally. Whether it be a wild animal, it's within their own species, their own family units. Nothing will get in the way. If you have mostly mammal mothers that have to nurture and nurse their babies, nothing comes before their babies. It is 100% conditional love. Unless there's something that might come in, like, say, a baby falls from the tree, some kind person picks it up and puts it back in the nest, but because it has the scent of the human, that is a fear factor for the animal and a survival issue. So that animal may be abandoned. Or if an animal has some type of genetic defect or is sickly after it's born, it may get abandoned, but that's a survival thing. That has nothing to do with whether they love it or not. Because animals don't think like we do. They don't think like we do. But they are open-hearted naturally. And it would make sense that when we spend time within the environment of an animal, we would reap the benefits of that open-heartedness. At least that's my thought. That is my take. So that is basically what I wanted to discuss today in this. It's kind of an overview. I know it's an awful lot of stuff, an awful lot of science. And you guys don't know me very well yet. But I do have a lot of animal information up here. And so I hope to bring that to you. But I wanted to start with this healing connection of humans and animals, because it's so important in the animal spirituality realm. When we have domesticated animals that we share our life with, it is important to understand this connection. It is important to understand the energy levels and how our energy reacts with their energy and vice versa. We, as pet guardians, one of the main things to help us get a deeper connection and have a better communication with our animal friends is we got to get out of our head. We can't put agendas on our animals. We cannot think that they think the way we do, because they don't. And we need to pay attention to our energy, because just as animals' energy affects us, our energy affects the animals. So if you have a really stressful and hectic day and you don't de-stress and you don't do some self-care and you go home to your animal and you are still in that vibratory state of stress, how do you think your animal is going to respond to you? Probably not very well. They may actually be fearful of you, and that may cause stress in them. All they want to do is love you, and when something shifts within you and you are not aligned, or if you are not happy, or if you are depressed, our energy affects their energy. So if you are depressed, the animal will become depressed. But if you open your heart when you are depressed, the animal is going to help you heal. But you can't block yourself off. We need to allow the relationship between our animal friends and us. That's where the healing occurs. Animals are not our property. Animals are not for our entertainment. Animals are not to fill a void within our hearts or replace something that we feel we lost. They are a support. They are companions in this life, in this world. And that is how they should be treated. So if that does not happen, the healing connection will be broken. And that will severely affect the animal. They will have the survival instincts of their ancestors. They will have that fight, that flight, and that freeze mentality. And they will have the excess levels of cortisol. They will have the decreased levels of oxytocin, the decreased levels of dopamine, and that's going to affect their health. So, just as there's so many benefits, if we don't stay out of, if we get stuck in our heads, we can actually hurt our animal friends. It goes both ways. As a law of attraction coach, there is something called the law of polarity, the law of reflection. What you feel within you will be presented on the outside. And that may be in your relationships or whatever. And you cannot, with the law of polarity, you cannot have one without the other. So you need to be mindful about what you are bringing into the relationship between you and your animal. We need to treat them as social soul beings and sentient soul beings with their own thoughts, with their own emotions. It may be different from yours, but they are different. So we need to take that into consideration. And the more mindful and the more aware you are of what you bring to a relationship is going to help benefit both you and the animal. So that is my message. I'm going to check on the comments now. That's pretty much all I have for you. I'm not sure what I'm going to talk about next week. It might be the whole energy thing. But you will know that soon enough. So let me just check comments. Okay. So I guess we don't. So that is kind of it. So to all you replayers, thank you for staying this long. This is a little bit longer than I'd expected. I wanted it to be about 40 minutes. But a lot of this information is really important information. And again, if you spend your life with animal friends and you wish to be an animal guardian or have been an animal guardian, then that makes you an animal steward for this world. You have a connection with animals. Animals have a connection with you. And I believe just as the science tells us what the animals can do for us, we need to reciprocate that back for the animals. There are many animals out there who have been mistreated and abused, who need people like us to provide them that safe place to fall, in a sense. We need to nurture this healing connection between us. So, if you are interested in what I do have a Facebook group. It is on the screen. I haven't changed the actual URL. It used to be Creative Healing for Your Pet. Now it is Creative Healing for All Animals. Energy connection through, I can't remember the whole name. It's a long name. But check out my group. There's a couple questions that you would need to answer to enter, because I only want people who are animal guardians in the group, as so we can all support each other. But I also have my website on there, and you can click on You know what? I'll put it up in the description. I do have a profile. You can go to Victoria Stigliano Zuban. I will put it up in the description so you can see it. And I am willing and ready to accept any friends. You can follow me. I do an enlightenment show every day. And yeah, I think that's it. So have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. And I will see you on Tuesday for another edition of Everyday Enlightenment, where we're going to talk about self-sabotage and how that connects with self-worth. So have a wonderful afternoon, evening, night, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.